That's the music. Yeah, I'm excited.
That's the attitude.
Live from an ESG-soaked Irish breakfast tea bag. It's an all-new, terrific Tuesday edition of Business Pants, joined by, well, you, Matt, analyst Matt Moscardi. That's it. You seem to be the only one left.
Do you need anybody else?
No. On today's ongoing post-election hangover part 17 called November 19th, 2024, the random Ask Matt stuff about the headlines game.
Wow. You workshopped that title for a while,
Yeah.
I can tell.
Spent a couple hours on that one. This is one of my favorite kind of games because it's completely stupid, inane, meaningless. I love these kind of games.
That differentiates it from our other games in what way?
Our show today is being sponsored by freeflowanalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. As you'll see throughout this game, I have used this database several times in this game.
Can I talk about some of the enhancements we're working on?
Yeah, please do.
I hear Freeflow Analytics is working
you don't
on.
answer my calls anymore because there's so much going on behind the scenes.
So right now, I've mentioned this in past shows, but we have downloaded 4 million nonprofit boards. So
Okay.
IRS filings for nonprofits in the United States and all of their board of directors. We have actively matched directors on boards of publicly traded companies and nonprofits.
No wonder your fingers are constantly bleeding and calloused.
It's really exhausting.
It's a lot of matching.
Yeah, it's a lot of matching. It's like being the worst oboe player. Like it's a lot.
Do you have to like lick your finger every time?
No, I
every
don't
match?
even. I never
No.
lick my finger. No,
Okay.
no, it's a dip in water and do that.
Okay.
But we've also pulled. This is no joke. We have pulled congressional stock trades and the companies that they're trading, so we can link it to the boards. We have pulled lobbying information, all the nonprofits and companies that have had to file for hiring a lobbyist and all the lobbyist names. So now we can match the nonprofit boards to lobbying to companies that are publicly traded. So we are building, without a doubt, the largest web of corporate America at the upper echelons anywhere.
I'm glad you're doing this now because I fear that some of this data will be deleted soon because of the Trump administration's desire to bring us into the darkness in several different ways.
I just started pulling. I got API access to pull from the grants and U.S. spending bills. So any like grants or awards given to companies and nonprofits and municipalities, so that I can then take the entities that won the awards and match the people at those entities. So effectively what you'll be able to see is a giant web of humanity that's making decisions. What I'm already finding is there's like 12 people. It's just like, it's what we know.
Are there any recipes in there for a delicious Thanksgiving meal? Nice juicy turkey?
There was one duck recipe, but I didn't think that qualified.
Okay. All right, come on. I'm sick of you selling freeflowanalytics.com. When are we
look,
going to see some of these changes? When are we going to see them?
This takes time. It takes a week at a time to even process the data because there's so much of it. So
I will say
patient,
this while you're waiting.
back.
How many directors do we now cover in freeflowanalytics.com? How many are there?
There are, I think the last
tens
count
of
was
thousands.
300,000 total and 95,000 active. So it's a lot.
That's hundreds of thousands, not just tens of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
So Freeflow Analytics, keep doing what you're doing. I hear they're doing amazing things. I'm going to pretend I'm not part of it. Let's play this dumb game.
Yeah. Do you have okay.
While we're waiting for the
While
data,
we're waiting, let's play a game.
do this.
Now here it is, the random Ask Matt stuff about the headlines game, because Matt is also our chief pundit here at Freeflow Analytics, so he gets to decide. I go through a lot of articles. I categorize, I filter, I tag, but I get questions. Like I have these existential crises and thoughts and queries, and I need Matt to help me sort through them. Okay, come on. Here's the first one. Donald Trump, the former and future president of America, his social media group, which is what? Truth Social, is in talks to buy a crypto trading venue. Of course. I mean, that doesn't surprise anyone.
I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's... it's an all-share takeover of a company called, or a venue called Bakkt, Bakkt. It's actually owned by the Intercontinental Exchange.
Oh, yeah, aren't they? They're dual class,
Bakkt.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so which one of these three key facts about this potential transaction surprises you the most, or the least, or I don't know? You can play it the whatever way you want. Help me out here, though. Okay.
Okay.
Here's three facts I gathered about this potential transaction. Bakkt, that's the crypto trading venue, has struggled for profitability since its launch.
Okay, I'm not even remotely surprised by that.
Yeah, remember this is created by ICE, which is the Intercontinental Exchange.
Yep. The owner of New York Stock Exchange.
Exactly,
right?
the owner of the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
Bakkt's first CEO was Kelly Loeffler. You might remember her. She was the former ex-senator of Georgia and the co-chair of the committee organizing Trump's inauguration in January.
Ooh. Wait, this coming January
Yes.
or last time
Yes,
around?
this coming January.
Okay.
She's also the former head of marketing at ICE, which owns Bakkt. That's the second factor. How about this third fact? Does this surprise you? Kelly Loeffler is also married to ICE's current founder, chair, and CEO, Jeff Sprecher.
Those are all facts.
Yeah, these are all facts. And I just thought this was the perfect news headline to start you with, because you're digging into this huge database of people and directors, and you're trying to put a focus on accountability and who owns what and who does what. So does any of this surprise you about the target of Truth Social here? Bakkt?
So I'm digging into my memory banks here, but I believe that it was Kelly Loeffler and Jeff Sprecher who were investigated for using committee data during COVID when they sold stocks, right? That's the same people. Okay, so people who are...
Drain the swamp. We're just draining the swamp here.
The people who used inside information to enrich themselves are now in a position to sell a not profiting company that does crypto, which is a fake asset, to a different fake asset that makes no money in Donald Trump's Truth Social.
Yes.
This I believe every word of that. That actually makes perfect sense.
Does any of that? Okay, then does one of those things surprise you? Is it just none of this surprises you?
Literally not one of those things.
So all of the above
me.
surprises you not at all. Okay.
This is not actually what's the most surprising is that they've struggled for profitability. That's the most surprising because
That sounds sarcastic.
Crypto's just going up right now.
That's true.
How are you struggling? You
how
must
do you
really
suck
at it,
Yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
super suck.
Yeah, super suck. All right, the next headline: Air Products and Chemicals. That's the company. They're adding 2 new directors as part of their fight with activist investors. Who are the activist investors? I should know this.
I don't know, but I feel like every time we talk about an activist investor, we should really be playing this in the background.
It does kind of feel like that, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah.
So they're actually, it's 2 activist investors. That's right. That's why I didn't have it written down. It's 2 of them: Mantle Ridge and D.E. Shaw.
Ooh.
Okay, so they're part of what they seem upset about. I'm painting a bigger picture here for you.
Okay.
Part of what all these activist investors seem to be angry about is the boards, the members of the board. That's usually where they target change.
Yeah.
So
sure.
What these activist investors are doing is that they're getting rid of David Ho and Matthew Paul, and they're adding Bob Patel and Alfred Stern.
Okay.
So here's my kind of pop quiz question for you. I looked at the data, MSCI. This is since 2015. My question is, how did the other investors feel about this board? Since 2015, what is the average level of investor support for Air Products and Chemicals directors? So what I'm trying to say, are these activists onto something? Are they Are they picking up on an energy in the boardroom? And here are your three choices.
Ooh, I like this.
I'm asking you, since 2015, what is the average level of investor support for Air Products and Chemicals directors? Is it 78%, 88%, or 98% of shareholder votes to support the election of directors?
This is pretty easy. It's 98%.
Well, why do you say that? But I'm telling you that they're targeting directors, so there must have been some dissent. No.
Let's contextualize this.
I'm trying to help you pick the right answer here.
Like Ohio Pension Fund, that is suing Boeing's directors after voting for all of those directors. It's the same kinds of investors, right?
Yes, that's true.
I think you're pushing me towards 88% because there's no way it's 78%. It can't be.
Are you going to change your answer, or are you going to stick with 98?
98%.
Well, you would be correct. So, Matt, as it turns out, nobody pays attention to any of these companies.
No, they really don't.
Investors have had a chance, at least since 2015, the data I've seen, they've had a chance every year to weigh in on some of the things, Air Products and Chemicals, but they don't have much. They don't have many thoughts.
Imagine a presidential election every single year.
98%.
That's what investors get to do every year. But they do love their incumbents.
98%.
That was the average you said, right? Average.
Yes,
right?
Average. The entire board.
That means a couple of people are above 98%. That's the only way the average works.
Lots are above. Yeah. All right, let's move on. This company is in the headlines a lot. Blue Sky Social. It's becoming a maybe competitor to Twitter, to Elon Musk's X. Maybe a place for people to go. Sure. We'll see. Yeah. We referenced this before. But here's the headline: the CEO of Blue Sky's actual name means blue sky in Chinese. Okay, so here's my question for you, Matt. Which thing do you care about most? And will any of this make you want to join Blue Sky? So I have a bunch of facts about Blue Sky, but I want to know which one you care about most.
It's a social media company. You're asking me if I want to join a social.
Well, let's say I'm going to help you see. I'm going to name you some facts and see if any of this moves the needle.
Because I'm real good at social media.
The CEO of Blue Sky is in fact a woman.
Ooh, that's nice.
It's Jay Graber. It's her name. It's a woman. A woman is in charge of a social media company, Matt. A woman.
Well,
okay, that's the first fact.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Yeah. She's tricked everyone with the name Jay. You know that, right?
Why? Because she's what? She speaks fluent English and Chinese?
No, the name
Jay sounds like a
boy's name. So like she can go out and get funding. Like
that's why we're here for you. We're here to figure this stuff out.
You just ruined it for them. Is really what you did.
Okay, that's the first fact. Second fact: Blue Sky is actually an independent public benefit corporation. You don't see a lot of those. It's a public benefit corporation. Does that sway you at all?
No, it's still social media.
I couldn't find a lot of data about this, but apparently it's owned by Jay herself and the Blue Sky team. So it looks like it's owned by
employee-owned. Wow.
So does that help?
I'm inching closer. Yeah. Are they hiring?
How about this fact? After Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter severed all legal and financial ties with Blue Sky Social. So they bailed immediately. Does that make you feel better?
That they were there doesn't make me feel that good. Now we're moving backwards a little bit.
Well, here's the fifth and maybe final and determining factor to see which one you care about the most and will you join Blue Sky. Blue Sky has confirmed recently that Jack Dorsey is no longer on its board. Jack's gone.
That's so nice.
Did any of this help?
So nice. I think he still funded them and is like.
Well, can I just say this?
Is he like a co-founder?
Yeah, he's one of the founders. But this is what Jay Graber had to say about Jack Dorsey when they were asked what his involvement was. She said that he sometimes gives feedback occasionally, and that otherwise he's just being Jack Dorsey on a cloud.
Wait, that's what she actually said? He's being Jack Dorsey on a cloud?
I guess is her way of saying that I don't talk to him and he's a nudnik. That's what she was saying.
Wow.
Does any of this help? Which one do you like the most out of these? Which one do you like the most? Which fact?
I like that it's owned by the team itself. I like that. I like that because it means they take pride in their work. I mean, unlike us here at Free Float, like they take pride in their work.
Yeah. I don't know what pride is.
So if you're hiring Blue Sky, if you need somebody who knows nothing about social media and stinks at it, I'm available.
So let's get to the big question. Will Free Flow, will you, Matt Moscardi, will we join Blue Sky? Will this be the first social media company that we start to interact with?
Wow.
Will it happen?
Go on
Why
to
not?
Blue Skies.
Why
Let's
not?
do it. All right,
Okay,
let's do
all right,
it.
fine. That's
We're
it.
going to
Let's
set
move
it up.
on.
Follow us on Blue Sky someday.
Let's move on. Here's the next headline, part of my Ask Matt random stuff about the headlines game. Here we go. CVS. You've heard of CVS?
Ooh, you know what I know about CVS?
Yeah.
I know calls for
What?
this.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. CVS has just fired its Glasscliff CEO, Karen Lynch. They gave her about, a couple of years maybe?
Hey, 17 minutes, yeah.
Okay, whatever, yeah. And they fired her ostensibly because a hedge fund dude came along. His name is Larry Robbins. He owns the hedge fund Glenview Capital, right?
Yeah.
So he came along, and goodbye, Karen Lynch. Okay. So the headline is CVS strikes deal with activist Glenview Capital for 4 board seats. 4.
Wow, that's a lot of board seats.
It's going to be the head of that hedge fund, Larry Robbins, who I just mentioned.
Why do
Also,
they all think they should be on the board?
Leslie Norwalk, Guy Sansone, and Doug Schulman. So okay, before I get to my question, 2 of these directors, Leslie Norwalk and Guy Sansone, they actually have experience in healthcare. So, okay.
Why only 2?
But I'm going to discount them. They're not part of this game. So here's the game.
Okay.
Which of these 2 useless other directors are you most excited about joining the CVS board that will now have 16 directors? 16.
Wow.
This is their big solution. The geniuses at Glenview Capital, they want to increase the size of the board from 12 to a very manageable 16. How the hell are they going to get anything done? 16 directors.
There's more people in that boardroom than there are football players on the field at any one time, right? Like,
Stupid. But which of these 2 useless other directors are you most excited about? Is it the hedge fund dude himself, Larry Robbins, the head of the Glenview Capital? I think that reportedly he made almost like $500 million one year. So he knows how to make a lot of money.
Money to burn. Great, sure.
Or how about this guy, Doug Schulman, the CEO of a financial services holding company called One Main Financial, where the board has a very sizable negative 19% gender gap. Which guy are you most excited about?
I'm just basing it on the name One Main Financial.
Financial.
It's already out.
Based in Evansville, Indiana.
Could it get any stupider?
Who are you most excited about?
Well, I'm most excited about so an American football team has 11 players on the field at one time, right? Correct?
Mm-hmm. Which seems like a lot when you're watching TV.
The 11 players, if you're playing offense, right? Like you have an offensive line coach, you have a wide receiver coach, you have a running backs coach, you have a quarterback coach, and then you have an offensive coordinator, and you have the overall coach. There are 6 coaches to make sure those 11 people do their jobs. How many coaches are required for a 16-person board at CVS to make sure they do their jobs? Do they need 33 coaches? Do they need how many outside staff are they going to have to hire just to service the directors? That's the thing. That's the data point I want. When it comes to your question.
Before you answer that, I just asked ChatGPT. I asked it, what is the optimal board size for a public corporation? Its answer was the optimal board size is generally thought to be between 7 and 11 directors.
Oh, look at that.
Because they claim because of efficiency in decision making, because it represents a diversity of expertise, et cetera, et cetera. So
Sam Altman agrees with us, is what you're saying.
About nine, they're saying.
Sam Altman agrees. The less useful guy has to be One Main Financial. I mean,
you're okay with the loudmouth hedge fund owner?
But at least he paid for his seat,
I guess.
right? What's
sure.
the other guy?
I don't know.
What do they need him for? All right.
It is amazing that they need to bring in Doug Schulman. It is quite remarkable.
He should be gone. Yeah.
All right. Okay. This is a different kind of a question. I want you to rate each of the following headlines on a scale of 1 to 10 of how surprised you are.
Ooh, I like this. It's just like speed round, right? Let's do it.
San Francisco Mayor-elect Daniel Lurie names OpenAI CEO Sam Altman to transition team.
Yeah, that guy's not busy with anything like AI destroying the world, so that's not surprising at all. I'm going to give that an 8.
An 8. He also comes up later in another question where we're talking about a company where he's the chair and director of a nuclear energy company. So he's not busy, clearly.
Not busy. He doesn't have anything to do.
How about this one? We talk about McDonald's a lot. RFK Jr., this is the headline. RFK Jr., he's purportedly going to be the new head of health.
Health.
What's it called?
Health
What's
and
it called?
Human Services or something, yeah.
Which sounds terrible. The headline is RFK Jr., who claims to be super against fast food, spotted snacking on McDonald's with Trump and Elon Musk. How surprised are you by that?
I think it was peer pressure. I mean, I have.
Well, what does
believe,
this tell
right?
us about RFK Jr.? So one of the things about RFK Jr.
That he's peer pressurable.
Everyone's focusing on his anti-vaccine stance, which is frightening. But one of the interesting things about him is that he believes in attacking the root causes of obesity in America. Some of those being the horrible foods that come out of the big food companies with all the additives and preservatives, and also the fact that people aren't really exercising anymore. So what he's saying is, instead of handing out Ozempic, why don't we like give them good food and exercise more? So he's a conundrum, this guy.
Did he say that while chewing on a quarter pounder, or did he wait to swallow?
I was
before he said
actually
that?
Partially excited by this. I put the anti-vaccine crap aside. I was partially excited about him until I saw him munching on some quarter pounder. So I don't know what's real. I just don't know what's real. All right. How surprised are you by that?
I'm a little bit surprised, but I don't care. It's a 5.
Okay, 5. How about this one? This is right up your alley. We spent a lot of time off the show and our pre-production meetings kind of complaining about this kind of stuff, some of this bullshit going around. Here's the headline. Vanguard gives investors option to avoid voting for ESG issues.
Okay.
They're calling it what are they calling it? The profit over social good choice or whatever. I don't know what they're calling it. Yeah.
So here's a fundamental problem I have.
Yeah.
When you give the option to vote on an ESG issue, like they don't give the option to vote on like a material thing and then not the material thing. Like they're basically what they're giving you the option to choose what's material and what's not, I guess. But in this very high level machete way.
So, which is very politically motivated as well.
Let's say, just for the sake of argument, that I think that DEI is destroying America. Okay?
Right. Yes.
Well, let's just pretend
women and
that's
people
a
of color,
viewpoint that someone might have somewhere, which is
and let's
crazy.
be clear, when you say DEI, you mean women and people of color.
Yeah. What did I say? I thought I
said
that.
DEI, but that's
sorry.
a code word for something else.
I thought we were all on the same page.
Just
here.
Just so you know, too, woke
you
is also that
gays.
same code word.
That's true. You left out gays.
Well, I put gay people in the woke. That's in the woke category.
Okay.
Because we don't actually see a lot of. They don't disclose this, but we don't actually see a lot of out people in the C-suites or on the boards of directors.
That's
I'm sure
true.
they're
they
there.
Don't talk about that, so they don't exist. That's fine.
I guess they don't exist. Yeah.
But let's say I really loathed wokeness and DEI. Okay.
Women and people of color and gay people. Yeah.
But simultaneously, let's say I happen to own 17 condominiums all on the coasts of America, and I was really worried about sea level rise and climate change. Okay,
so you're talking about the E of ESG as opposed to the S.
So now, in my 401k at Vanguard, I have to choose: do I hate black people and gays and women more than I like my condos on the ocean? That's not a choice I want to have to make. I feel like when we use a machete here, you shouldn't have a no ESG thing, because ESG is just a bunch of data about what's material or not. So what you should have is various give me 37 flavors. Give me all the flavors.
I agree. Right.
Then I
we
can
go
choose.
We can go into an ice cream shop with our 5 screaming children on the hottest day of summer, and we can somehow pick between 39 flavors, 17 different cones, 900 different toppings, but we can't manage this?
I can't manage this. I only get like 3 options, and it's like, do what management says. Don't.
Can I just tell you the options
says?
just for a little comic relief?
Yeah, please.
Vanguard, you guys are hilarious. I guess you have the writers from Jon Stewart or Stephen Colbert.
That would be even better.
But first of all, the anti-ESG voting policy we're talking about is actually called, this is so like tongue-in-cheek, like F you to the liberals, I guess, kind of. Here's the name. The third party wealth focused policy.
Ooh.
So this third party is Egan Jones Rating Company, which is it's like a ratings company in like a middle of Pennsylvania where 4 people are working. It sounds like us, basically.
I talked to
Except
them.
they're
actually.
right wing. They're
I've
highly
talked to
right wing,
them,
right?
And they hate ESG.
Yes.
They don't like it at all. Yeah.
Another option. I love this. They have a
Third
new
party,
option.
first of all,
Third
how
party
passive-
wealth focused.
You're focused on the wealth. How passive aggressive is it to put
which excludes
third
women
party?
and people of color, right?
But how passive aggressive is it to put third party in the name of the policy?
Well, they have another one,
not
actually.
Us. It's third party.
Well, there's actually 5 policies because they have 2 new ones. There actually is a third party ESG policy.
Ooh.
That's one of the options. But I love this one. They have a new option called this. I couldn't tell if this is the Onion or not. They have a new option called the mirror voting policy. I shit you not.
Does that
the
just mean they do whatever someone else does?
Yes.
What is that?
Listen to what it does. This is true. This is from Vanguard. It votes and investors proportionate shares in approximately the same proportions as the votes cast by other shareholders.
Wow.
And Matt, wait for it. It replaces the policy which used to be called the not voting policy.
Oh, okay. Well,
which is really right. I mean,
that tells you all you need to know. What? Wow.
And this is a great existential question, right? Is a mirror voting policy the same as really a not voting policy, right?
Well,
if you just do what everyone else does, are you really alive?
So is this different from? Is there like a
like
management
predestination.
policy? I wonder how many policies do they just do what management says? Because if you're wealth-focused policy, right?
They have a third one is called the company board aligned policy.
There
so
it
that
is.
answers that question.
There it is.
And finally, they have one called the Vanguard advised funds policy, which is probably the same.
That
as
one
the
just
company
votes for
board
management too. So.
This is fun. Thank you, Vanguard.
My math
Thank
is
you.
correct. Vanguard, you have managed to turn one policy, which was do what management and everyone else does already, into 4 separate policies, and that's the illusion of choice that you've created.
Yes.
I love the herd policy. We need that everywhere. The answer to the question is I am 0 surprised by any of this, but I am 10 surprised that they were so clever as to find a way to make it look like you had 4 options when really you're doing one thing, which is voting with management. I love this.
Oh, that was exhausting. So are you surprised by any of that? You have to give it a score.
I gave it a 0. It's a 0.
Okay.
I'm not surprised.
Donald, in the next headline in this rate on a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised you are by these headlines. Donald Trump Jr. He's actually not going to be working for the Trump administration, which I guess is a win for some of us. But here's his new job. He is working at an investment firm, this is the headline, connected to Christian nationalists.
Ooh.
This is the company called 1789 Capital, an
we've talked about that.
anti-ESG venture capital firm where Donald Trump Jr. is going to join. And we were actually probably the first and only entity ever to talk about 1789 Capital. And one of the things we couldn't get over is that they were kind of giving up the game in their title of their company, right? 1789 would suggest a women, person of color,
That's
LGBTQ zeitgeist, right?
I
Where
don't know
no
about
one
you, Damien.
existed but white Christian men in power, right?
When I'm going through like the
Jews,
the physical, the slideshow,
Puerto Ricans,
like when I'm looking back through the family slideshow at slideshow night, I remember 1789 really fondly. There wasn't a single black person in
the
photo.
the audacity to name yourself that is just
Not to mention the fact that it is founded by a guy named Omar Malik, right? Isn't that the same one?
Yes.
And
Omid Malik.
Omid Malik, that's his name.
Yep.
In their write-up, And this is what we made fun of over a year ago. Go find the show. We made fun of this over a year ago.
Figure out how to find it. Yeah.
What we made fun of was the fact that it says that they want to create a parallel economy for the anti-woke. Basically, they were like, you know what? The economy that we talk about loving so much, the free market economy that's turned into this thing, that is the free market economy. It turns out we don't like it that much, so we're going to make a parallel economy.
Teeming with women and people of color.
Because there's way too many brown people and women and gays in this economy. We're going to make a parallel one with much less of them. That's just like 1789. I remember when I woke up this morning and loaded my musket with a lead ball. So I'm all in on this. I like that Donald Trump Jr. is joining. I like that he's basically.
I mean, this is the right place for him. Let's be honest.
If you want to make America great again, you got to have a time that was great to make again. So I like that they just told us 1789. That's what we're going with.
Slavery's legal again.
Me. This is zero. This doesn't surprise me.
And then the last headline.
It does surprise me that he can invest. I don't think he can do that. But
the last headline in this category is that Trump picks Liberty Energy CEO and Oklo board member Chris Wright as energy secretary. So Liberty Energy is a oil field services company with a minus 13% gender gap. And Oklo is actually a nuclear energy company whose chair and director and 6% owner is OpenAI's Sam Altman, of all people.
Ooh, that's fun.
So does this pick surprise you? Does this pick surprise you?
No.
Is this like Greg Goff joining Exxon?
No, but this is a little like Rex Tillerson, who was the Exxon CEO. Tillerson, who was chosen by Trump the first time around.
Yes.
Who
ended up hating Trump because Trump was a giant idiot.
Because he was a moron.
I'm not kidding.
At least that was like a massive energy company.
Yes.
This one feels like they're dumpster diving for CEOs now, right?
Look, one thing we've learned,
oil companies.
One thing we've learned, and there's no one that covers corporations and people more actively than us. There couldn't be. But if the name Liberty is in the title, the company's not so serious. That's one thing we've learned.
You know what? That's a really good point. I wonder if he went even past that for the choice. He was like, we take the CEO of any company that has a patriotic name and does oil. And then they were like, Liberty Oil, done.
Perfect.
Done.
Perfect.
This doesn't surprise me.
Surprised by
It's
this?
also a zero. You're keeping track of all my scores, right? This is important.
Yes, of course. Why don't we wrap up this show? I got one more. Finally, here's the headline. China's KFC and Pizza Hut CEO said she spends hours watching her customers eat, of all things, Matt.
Oh, no.
Joey Watt is her name. She said that she stakes out Yum China restaurants and spends 2 to 3 hours watching people eat.
Oh.
And that time leads to new product. Have you been in a KFC recently?
Are you kidding me? Do I look
Can
like
you
a
imagine
person?
spending 2 to 3 hours? Just even sitting there without watching people eat. Can you imagine just spending that much time there? But anyway, she says that this leads to innovation like KFC China's new mashed potato burger.
Oh no.
Okay, let me get to the question before you respond to all this. Which surprises you the most? The fact that Yum China Holdings has a positive 10% gender influence gap led by CEO Joey Watt, a woman, and compensation committee chair, another woman, Jenny Zhang, or that China's KFC and Pizza Hut CEO Joey Watt spends 2 to 3 hours watching people eat. Which one surprises you the most?
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm glad you saved this question
one.
for last. This is by far the toughest
This is
question.
the most important one, yeah.
I actually want to ask Joey Watt how often she sees RFK Jr. eating at a KFC China.
That's an important question, yeah.
Because the mashed potato burger does sound like his bag. It has to be. Oh man, this one's hard.
I'm pouring this out because we look at data all the time. You don't really see any companies unless they're family owned. And this is not family owned. The influence of this company is spread out very evenly. You don't see companies from China or Asia really that match this profile where there's
that's
a
true.
positive 10% gender influence gap. I just don't understand how that happens.
So if you're listening to this, you don't know what we're talking about. Basically, if you take the percentage of women on the board and you take the percentage of power that those women have as measured by their roles and how much money they have at stake and how they got there and their connections and all that stuff, that is the power gap. So if you got 10% women on the board and they have 20% of the power, then that's a plus 10%.
Which is highly
influence
unusual,
gap.
unfortunately, yeah.
Usually, on average, what you see is a minus 6 to 12%.
Well,
gap,
like the
depending
parent
on where
company,
you are.
like Yum China's parent company, Yum Brands, where their gender influence gap is negative 8%, right?
Wow, this is hard.
Which surprised you the most? CEOs that watch people eat in disgusting fast food restaurants or a positive gender gap?
I'm going to go with the correct answer is the positive gender gap. I mean, that's
right,
the real answer.
That's the intelligent answer. Because I will be fair to Joey Watt. Having spent some time in non-U.S. fast food restaurants, they tend to be cleaner. They're a lot nicer out of America.
Yeah, it's not as gross an experience.
It's not as gross. No.
Like, she could probably have a laptop there. And
yes,
take
there's
notes,
Wi-Fi, exactly.
Like there's Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
They're like civilized there.
Yes.
Wow. That was by far
big show, huh?
The greatest headline show you've ever put together.
Who goes from 1789 capital to Yum China CEO watching her customers eat in less than 5 minutes? Nobody.
What I'd really like to know is how many hours Don Jr. is going to have to watch people from 1789 eat.
How many hours a week do you think he's really going to be spending in the offices of 1789 capital?
I'm sure
That's the real
he's
question.
there I actually think they're going to have to ask him to go do something else. Like, he's just going to move
might
in.
Be true.
That's Hazelnut Rallis. I'm your analyst, Matt Biscardi. We are Free Float, not to be confused with our sponsor, Free Float Analytics, which is where you can get every data point about a director, individual directors. You can ask who behind the company, and you can find it on freefloatanalytics.com, so go do that. We'll be back on Friday with another show. Until then, goodbye.